one of the reasons that I founded Coverage Inc. was because I had built up a network of readers that I had found in town, just smart professional guys who were working for production companies that I was dealing with, and I was paying them to give me feedback on my material. It was painful, okay? Every single time I got the notes back from those guys, it was painful. But I realized how valuable it was to get that professional level of feedback. So it hurts so good kind of thing, you know? Okay, so I've been a writer for 2 decades now. It still sucks. That feeling when you get your coverage back, and that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach when you start going through it and you go, ugh. Because, you know, all any of us really want, I'll be honest, me too, okay? All any of us really want is to send in our screenplay to somebody, and here's the feedback we get. It's great. Don't change a word, right? That's it. Okay, once you start getting into, well, I liked it, but, and then you start getting the notes, your walls go up. You're like, ugh, you know, I'm under assault. It's natural. We all have egos. It's part of being a writer. You know, when we're working on something, we feel so excited, so positive about it, you know, and then that you feel like this is just the best thing in the world because you've done it, because you put so much time and creative effort into it. It may not, however, be ready for prime time at that point. Well, that's where Coverage Inc. comes in, and that's where coverage comes in, okay? So when that coverage report comes back and you realize that you haven't hit the marks the way you thought you hit the mark, it's rough. How do you deal with it? Well, there's a couple of ways to deal with it. First of all, I wrote an article, it's on the site, about how to deal with coverage. Please go to the articles page and check it out, because, you know, like I said, from my own personal experience, I've been there. I know how to deal with it. And I sort of, I go through in the article how I personally deal with coverage, but what it comes down to is this. I take a quick glance through it when I first get the coverage, and I just sort of absorb as much of it as I can before my walls go up and I shut down. But inevitably, I can't go through the coverage more than once with just like a quick glance read. I can't do it. I have to just read it quickly, get the quick opinion, and then put it aside. And then I get back to it like in a couple of days. I have to ruminate on it. I have to stew. I have to mull. And more importantly, I have to go through the whole process, which I still do, even though I own Coverage Inc., of saying, the reader's an idiot. How could he miss this? Like, what a moron. You know, it was so clear. How could he not get what I was trying to do with this character in Act 2? This isn't what this person meant when he said this, and on and on and on. It's part of the process that we go through as a writer. And then slowly, very slowly, maybe 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week or 2 later, I get back to the coverage again. And I sort of very trepidatiously open it up and start reading little bits and start going through it. And it's still rough, but because you've had time to deal with it and you know from that quick glance, you know what the overall take is, you're sort of more prepared to handle it, okay? And then I kind of dig in a little bit more. And I start actually, with my little red pen there, I start, checking off things that I think, okay, well, that might be a good note. All right, well, that might be worth looking at. And then all the other things I just sort of ignore, like, that's stupid, whatever. And then when time comes to actually sit down and implement those notes, I've got my little marked up printout there with all the things that I liked in red, and maybe there's 15 or 20 things or whatever, and then I always go and I do the easiest ones first, because it sort of lulls you in a more comfortable way back into the script, like fixing you got a character's name wrong on page 37, oh, I can take care of that, boom, note done, easy, a lot easier than fixing, the big structural flaw in the middle of Act 2, and then after that, the whole screenplay sort of, goes off the cliff. All right. So by easing into it like that, you sort of get back into the world of the script again. And what happens is the excitement that you had while you were working on the first draft, it starts to come back. And that's a beautiful thing, because all of a sudden, I find after working maybe about a couple of hours just implementing a lot of the minor notes, and in the back of my head, because I've already read all the other notes, I start thinking about solutions to all of those things. And they just start emerging on their own. And before I know it, I'm sucked in, and I'm actually tackling those big notes again. basically in a space of time which can be whatever works for you. But for me, it's the process usually takes about a week to a month or two. I go from complete denial over the coverage, like this sucks, this person's an idiot, to thank God I got this coverage. Oh my God, I was such a moron. These are brilliant notes. I'm so glad I implemented all of these. And even if some of them wind up being dumb notes that you don't use, the main thing is it just gets you thinking. The reader put those notes down because there was something wrong. And it may not be that the reader specifically addresses that exact problem in the screenplay. They might have put down a note saying, I didn't like this character didn't work for me. It may not exactly be a problem with the character. It could be something else that's causing that note. It could be a structural issue, or maybe something that you always intended to put in that was in your mind but not on the page. And then it gets you thinking, and then once that whole creative process starts up again, and the excitement begins to build again, then all of a sudden you are on your way to another draft that is informed by the decision, by the opinions of someone who is a screenwriting analysis professional. And then you are well on the way towards your own personal evolution and your chance of screenplay getting anywhere. So, that's how I do it. That's how I survive coverage. Maybe you guys have a different way, but if there's anything from my process that can help you guys out, please take from me. Okay?